When toddlers develop a fear of trying new foods, like broccoli, it can throw off all that hard work you've been doing to make mealtimes a happy place for everyone. And when your toddler stops eating the foods that they've always liked, it can make things confusing and concerning. You start to wonder, is my toddler eating enough? Are they getting the best nutrients? Is their diet complete? Are they going to be able to grow well? And worse, will they become unhealthy? In this video, I'm going to review why toddlers become or develop a fear of trying new foods, something we call neophobia. And I'm going to help you avoid making some of the classic mistakes many parents make during this period of time. Because a fear of trying new food is pretty typical in the toddler age group. And navigating this period of time is super critical for you to be able to set your toddler up with a healthy relationship with food and health for his future. After we review those common mistakes parents make, I'm going to set you up with some really fine tips to help you navigate the fear of trying new food smoothly. So hang in there because all those tips are going to be at the end of this video. The best news is that all toddlers can overcome this phase of having a fear of trying new foods. The bad news is you can make this whole situation a whole lot worse by the interactions that you're having with your toddler. So let's get to it and make this an easy phase for everyone. So first off, why do toddlers even develop a fear of trying new foods? It's actually thought to be in the genes, already baked in, because a long time ago, the fear of trying new foods was considered protective because many foods that were out in the wild were bitter and they contained compounds that could be considered poisonous. So being skeptical about new foods or afraid of trying them was actually a way that children and adults protected themselves from being poisoned. Today, kids aren't getting poisoned from their food, but this has been baked into the DNA, and so it emerges in that toddler stage of development between 2 and 6, and we consider it part of picky eating. So what is it that parents do that makes things worse? You know how it goes. Your toddler loves broccoli and eats it all the time without a problem, and then poof, all of a sudden one day they refuse it. They won't have anything to do with broccoli. They shun it, they knock it off their high chair, they cry and get upset when you put it on their plate. This is classic food neophobia, or that fear of trying new foods. What do parents do? They plead and beg their child to take another bite. They cajole their child, asking them, "Don't you want to try this?" Parents get pretty worked up about it when a child stops eating the foods that they used to eat all the time. But toddlers are on to them. They understand that, mom and dad are kind of acting differently about my eating. And somehow that toddler gets the idea that they have some power over their parents. The toddler learns they are getting a reaction, so they keep it up. They keep going. They keep refusing the food and watching their parent behave the way they do. The other thing parents do is try to force their child to eat. They might take over the spoon or the fork and start to feed their child. And this is well after a child has already become independent with eating on their own. So parents sort of take that child backwards in their development and start to take over. Most toddlers want nothing to do with that and will put up a fight when parents do so. Parents also start to nag their children, start to push food towards them, reminding them to eat. And most toddlers learn very quickly how to overcome that by behaving in different ways. They may ignore their parent, they may push foods off the tray, and they may throw a tantrum. So every time a parent tries to make their child eat, the toddler oftentimes has a rebuttal for that, and the dynamic between the parent and the toddler starts to unravel and become negative. In the worst situations, the child gets the message that coming to the table to eat is no fun, and it's often laden with a lot of pressure and a lot of antics from the parent trying to get them to eat. And so they learn that eating and coming to the table is not something that they want to do. And that's not what we want toddlers to experience. We're trying to help toddlers enjoy food and try lots of different foods. So what can you do if you find that you're in this situation? A, your toddler is afraid of trying new foods, and B, you're in the position of trying to make them eat. This is not a good dynamic, so let me help you with the things that you can do to avoid this situation. And if you can relate with this situation, give me a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments what's going on, and follow this channel because I talk about toddlers and feeding them all the time, as well as other kids. Listen, I made all of these mistakes with my firstborn, so I get it. She went through a phase of food neophobia. I came on strong with trying to entice her to eat, force her to eat, nag her, all the things I just told you about. I did it. And it really got our feeding dynamic off track. And as a result, she stopped growing and she even became anemic. You can check out my TEDx talk. I talk all about this, and it's very common amongst many parents in today's world. So what can you do if you have a child that's starting to fear trying new foods? What can you do? So I have a few tips for you. Number one, and probably the most important thing, and you might have already figured this out, do not react when your toddler refuses to try something new. Number two, keep offering new foods. Keep preparing them, keep planning them into your meal times, and let them show up on the plate or on the table. The thing that you can do to make it easier on your child is just make sure they're tiny little bites. Nothing like a big bowl of broccoli, for example. Just a tiny little taste on the plate with other foods that your child likes makes that food introduction a lot less intimidating and a lot less wasteful and a lot less triggering. Never ever push, pressure, cajole, force, nag your child to eat. It almost 100% backfires, and it's not good for that developing relationship your toddler is striving for when it comes to food. Last, have faith. Your toddler will get through this phase if you do those 1, 2, 3 things I just told you about. Just have faith they'll move through it, because guess what? Most toddlers do. And the less you interfere, the faster they move through this phase. I have a question for you, and I want you to answer me down below in the comment section. What food is your toddler afraid of trying? Put it down in the comments below. In the meantime, I have lots of videos here about feeding toddlers and feeding picky eaters. I hope you'll check them out. I'll see you next time.